The first time the HOA complained about my security cameras, they acted like I had installed a prison watchtower in the middle of the neighborhood. In reality, it was two small cameras, one above my garage pointed at my own driveway, and one near the front door pointed at my porch and walkway. Nothing dramatic, no giant floodlights, no spinning dome camera, no red blinking light, just basic home security. The kind half the houses in America have now, because packages disappear, cars get checked at night, and sometimes people do things they later swear they didn't do. But according to the HOA, my cameras were a problem. I live in a quiet subdivision outside Raleigh. It's one of those neighborhoods that looks calm on the surface because every house has matching mailbox posts, approved mulch colors, and lawns that get measured more emotionally than physically. I moved there 5 years ago after selling my old place closer to the city. I wanted less noise, more space, and a driveway where I could park my truck without worrying about street traffic. The neighborhood seemed perfect at first. Clean sidewalks, decent neighbors, no obvious drama. Then I started learning how the HOA worked. At first, it was normal stuff. Keep your grass below a certain height, don't leave trash bins out all week, submit paint colors before changing exterior trim. Annoying, but manageable. I'm not one of those people who thinks every rule is oppression. Sometimes rules keep a neighborhood from turning into chaos. But there's a difference between reasonable standards and people using rule books like weapons because they enjoy having authority. Our HOA president, Marlene, was one of those people. She was retired, always dressed like she was about to attend a city council meeting, and somehow knew everyone's trash pickup habits. She had a polite voice, a fixed smile, and the kind of eyes that made you feel inspected even during casual conversation. She wasn't openly rude most of the time. She was worse. She was officially pleasant. Every sentence sounded like it had been reviewed by a committee and sharpened behind the scenes. My issues with her started before the cameras. One summer, she sent me a warning because my recycling bin was visible from the street for an extended period. It had been out for one afternoon because I got home late from work. Another time, I got a reminder about my grass near the curb, even though it was barely different from the houses on either side of me. I learned pretty quickly that Marlene didn't enforce rules evenly. She enforced them where she wanted attention. Still, I kept my head down. Then, the package theft started. Not just mine. A few neighbors mentioned packages going missing from porches. Small stuff at first. A phone charger here, a box of vitamins there. Then someone down the street lost a pair of expensive shoes. People posted in the neighborhood group asking if anyone had seen anything. The responses were exactly what you'd expect. Some people blamed delivery drivers, some people blamed teenagers, some people blamed outsiders. Marlene reminded everyone to remain calm and report concerns through proper channels, which basically meant talk a lot and do nothing. A week later, one of my packages disappeared. It wasn't valuable, but that wasn't the point. I had a delivery notification, a photo showing the package on my porch, and when I got home, it was gone. I checked around the bushes, asked the neighbor on one side, and looked in the garage in case I had brought it inside without thinking. Nothing. That was when I bought the cameras. I didn't make a big announcement. I didn't ask the HOA because the rules, as I understood them, didn't ban security cameras. They had language about exterior modifications being harmonious and not visually disruptive. But the cameras were small, black, and tucked under existing trim. I mounted them carefully so they only covered my property: driveway, porch, walkway, and a bit of the street where cars passed. That was it. For about 10 days, nobody said anything. Then I got the notice. It was taped to my front door in a clear plastic sleeve because apparently email wasn't dramatic enough. The letter said the cameras had been installed without architectural approval and may violate neighborhood privacy expectations. It also said exterior surveillance devices must not create a sense of monitoring within common residential views. I read that phrase twice, a sense of monitoring. That was impressive wording for 2 cameras pointed at my own porch. I emailed the HOA management company that same night. I explained that the cameras were for security, that they did not face into anyone's private yard, and that recent package thefts had made them necessary. I even included screenshots showing the camera angles. Nothing invasive, nothing strange, just my driveway and porch. Marlene replied instead of the management company. That was never a good sign. Her email said she appreciated my concern for safety, but the board had to consider community comfort and the visual impact of surveillance equipment. She said some residents felt uncomfortable knowing they might be recorded while walking past my property. I remember leaning back in my chair and thinking, yes, if you walk directly in front of my house, the camera might see you. That's how cameras work. Also, my eyes could see you too. Nobody had fined me for those yet. I responded politely. I asked which rule specifically prohibited security cameras. She didn't answer the question. Instead, a few days later, I got a formal fine. $100 for unauthorized exterior modification. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about privacy. This was about control. Because if privacy were the concern, we could have had a technical discussion. Camera angles, masked zones, limited retention, something practical. But they skipped straight to punishment because I had installed something visible without first asking permission from people who enjoyed having authority. I appealed the fine. The hearing was at the clubhouse on a Thursday evening. I brought printouts of the delivery theft notice, camera screenshots, the HOA rules, and photos showing how small the devices actually were. Marlene sat at the front with 2 other board members, wearing that calm expression people use when they've already decided and are just letting you perform the process. I explained that the cameras were not aimed at anyone's private property. I explained that they were mounted for security after a package disappeared. I explained that several neighbors had reported theft issues. I explained that the rules did not clearly ban them. Marlene said the concern was not only the direction of the cameras, but the feeling they created. The feeling. That word did a lot of work in that room. One board member, a man named Frank, asked whether the cameras recorded audio. I said no. Another asked whether I could angle them more toward my door. I said the front camera already covered the porch, and the garage camera had to cover the driveway because that's where vehicles and deliveries were. Marlene then said the board had to preserve the welcoming character of the neighborhood. I told her package thieves probably found the neighborhood very welcoming already. Frank almost smiled. Marlene did not. They upheld the fine. Not only that, they gave me 14 days to remove the cameras or submit an architectural application for review with no guarantee of approval. The whole thing felt backwards. I wasn't building a deck. I wasn't painting my house purple. I was protecting my own front door. But I decided to play their game one step further. I submitted the application. I included diagrams, photos, camera angles, mounting locations, and a written statement explaining that the system was for private security and did not monitor neighboring private spaces. I made it impossible for them to say they lacked information. They rejected it anyway. The rejection said the cameras were not consistent with the community aesthetic and that visible surveillance devices could make residents feel watched. Then they added a line suggesting I consider less visible alternatives, such as indoor cameras facing outward through windows. That made no sense. An indoor camera facing through a window would still record the same area, just worse. But it would be less visible, which told me the real concern wasn't privacy, it was appearances. I was angry, but I also knew I needed to be careful. So I called a lawyer. Not because I wanted to sue the HOA over 2 cameras, but because I wanted to know where the line was. He looked over the bylaws, the rejection letter, and the fine. He told me the HOA might have some authority over exterior appearance, but their position was weak if they were applying vague aesthetic language to a reasonable security device, especially after documented theft concerns. He suggested I send a formal letter asking for the exact rule basis and requesting consistent enforcement records for similar devices in the neighborhood. That phrase, consistent enforcement, changed everything. Because once I started looking, I found cameras everywhere. Not everyone had them, but plenty did. Doorbell cameras, garage cameras. One house had a floodlight camera above the side gate. Another had a visible camera under the roofline facing the driveway. A board member 2 streets over had a doorbell camera in plain view. I took photos from public areas and added them to a folder. I wasn't trying to drag other people into trouble. I was proving the HOA wasn't enforcing a rule. They were choosing a target. I sent the lawyer's letter. The HOA went quiet for almost 2 weeks. Then the fine was temporarily suspended pending review. Not removed, suspended. That was their way of backing up without admitting they were backing up. I left the cameras exactly where they were. For the next month, things were tense. Marlene stopped waving when she walked her little dog past my house. I didn't mind. The cameras stayed exactly where they were. Packages stopped disappearing from my porch at least. I figured the whole thing would fade into one of those dumb HOA memories you complain about at barbecues. Then came the night everything changed. It was a Saturday in late October. Cool weather, early darkness, the kind of night where porch lights glow a little brighter because the air feels still. Around 11:30, I was watching TV when my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the driveway camera. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes a car passed slowly or a cat crossed the lawn. I opened the app anyway. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. There was a dark sedan creeping down the street with its headlights off. It slowed near my driveway, rolled past, then stopped 2 houses down. A figure got out wearing a hoodie and started moving along the parked cars, checking handles, one after another, quietly, quickly. My truck was locked, thankfully. The person pulled the handle, moved on, and disappeared out of frame. I called the non-emergency police line, then stayed on the camera feed. A minute later, another alert came from the porch camera, different angle.